I was in a financial state that I didn't think that I could get a grip on my student loan debt, on my credit card debt, basically any of my debt. And I just felt like I was drowning and in a place of instability, even with a stable job. And so I was like, the worst case scenario is that I lose however much the investment was, and then I don't gain anything from it. But the best case scenario is that I change my freaking life. And that's exactly what it did. My financial situation has completely changed. I am credit card debt free. I am working to make my student loans to be debt free soon. And I have an emergency fund, which I never had before. I'm building that emergency fund to be even to like 6 months worth. It's just like, it's changed my life. And I truly would not be where I am today if it wasn't for Deeper Than Money. So
I didn't have a plan. I didn't have goals. I had no idea what was in my retirement savings. I don't even know the login information.
From somebody else in a different round that was like, I feel like I have so much more money now, even though I'm not making any more money. And I was like, I don't know if I believe that, but now I definitely do believe that because that's how I feel. I feel so much less stress, and my friends have said they feel so much less stress just because we've opened up that conversation about money.
And that's just been like a huge relief for me because I really don't feel stressed about money anymore. My credit score increasing by like 70 points. Yeah, I'm just really thankful for all of the advice, and I feel so supported. It's just been a really great experience. I was a little bit hesitant initially with the cost of the course, but I think I would have paid double that for the experience that I got.
And Carly had done the course, I want to say maybe 6 months before me. And so I kind of messaged her and was just like, give me more information. Is it worth it? I was really hesitant. I think the price can scare people, but I think the content is beyond worth it. But it's hard to like recognize that in the beginning because it's an intimidating number. And when you're already struggling with money, that's the last thing you want to do is spend more money. So having a friend to just like reassure me that it was going to be worth it was super, super helpful. Like as soon as I paid for it, she was like, oh my gosh, like keep me updated. I can't wait to hear more from you and how you're liking it. I've always handled my money decently well. It's just like felt like there was always like a fork in the road where I could go left or right. And I always picked right when I should have picked left. The things that once felt so incredibly overwhelming were just like, okay, this is attainable. If you can sit down on a weekly basis and it's actually something I look forward to instead of dreading now. Like there's just so many aspects of the course that are practical. I've also started investing. I've saved a decent amount of money.
And I was terrified to like start it because of like the upfront cost. And I was like, I'm already terrible with money. Like, am I like just gonna do this and I'm just gonna like, this money is just gonna go, you know, down the drain or whatever. Maybe I'm wasting it on something and I'm not actually gonna like go through with it. But I ended up signing up for it. Once you're living a certain lifestyle, but you're only making a certain amount of money, like you go into debt. Like that's just what ends up happening. That's what I was doing. It was when I officially like paid off all my credit cards. So $16,000 done, which was crazy. Like from everything that I learned in the program, I was able to still like go on vacation last summer. Like we went to Hawaii and like it didn't, I just didn't want to like stop living my life and doing things, but I just kind of like rearranged my money and made it work. Just like everything that I learned, I'm just like super grateful for. And I think it's really changed the like trajectory of my finances for the rest of like my life too. And
so it was just in a point in my life where I was feeling like I'm in my late 20s. I don't feel like I know what's going on with my finances. Like I get a paycheck every 2 weeks, but I don't know where that money is going. I didn't feel empowered by my money. I felt like my money was controlling me and I wanted it to be the opposite, but I also had no idea where to start and didn't feel like I had the time to like invest and figure that out all by myself. So I'm debt free now, which was one of my main goals. So I paid off my car and my student loans, which is around $10,000. And then now a year and a half later, I also have $10,000 saved for like an emergency fund and a high yield savings account. It seems like a big investment, especially when you're like, if you're struggling with money, but then when you see like, I agree, like having people's outcomes and then realizing like, okay, it's an investment up front, but like you're investing in so much more than just like a class or, you know, what you think you're going to get out of it at the time. So
Deeper Than Money on Instagram, started following, and I was like, this is so my vibe. I want to live my best life, but I also feel like I'm struggling with money. I constantly was like saving, but then I would dip into my savings or had these like unplanned expenses come up and I didn't know how to handle them or how to tackle them. Went through the program. I loved it. I loved the structure. I loved that it was like some self-study because I loved like taking action, but then also the group coaching, which getting that kind of like one-to-one, reflecting on getting my questions answered. At the end of the program, I felt super confident with money, felt like talking to my friends about it, talking about what we're investing in. And I ended up quitting the job I was in, which like was severely underpaying me, and basically like doubled my salary, and had the confidence to like negotiate and just like feel confident around money, and like basically fully funded my starter emergency fund, which I hadn't done ever. So it's been helpful in like breaking this cycle. And so anytime those like thoughts or like past beliefs come up, I feel confident in knowing what to do with them.
I think in the past too, all of my money, when I would have money like that, I would definitely just like spend it. I'm like, oh, look at this money. Like it's just waiting to be spent, burning a hole in my pocket. So now it feels good to actually like put it towards something a little bit more meaningful.
Having a plan and like wanting to like having like the courage to stick through it, because I've always like, if it doesn't work one week, I'm like, oh no, it's never going to work for me, you know? And so like, just like trusting the process and like sticking with it, like I'm excited about. So
I think it's been really helpful to be able to look at like what I'm buying while I'm there and thinking, is this spending in alignment with what I'm trying to do with my money?
I was like really nervous that this program was going to be more expensive than it was worth, to be honest. And I feel like it was super, super worth it. So testimonial on its way, but for real, I'm like really grateful. So
I'm excited to talk about like money in the future and doing all of these things. And like, it's been so much more worth it to me. And I remember I had one friend that was like, oh, are you getting like a certification or something out of this? I was like, no, it's just for me.